Senators Aguilar, Baumgardner, Cook, Coram, Court, Crowder, Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Garcia, Gardner, Guzman, Hill,
Absent.
Holbert, John, Jones, Kagan, Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble,
Excused.
Martinez-Semenuk, Merrifield, Moreno, Neville, Priola, Scott, Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Tate, Todd, Williams, Sinzinger. Yes. Yeah, I got you. Hill. Mr. President.
Here. Morning roll calls, 34 present, 0 absent, 1 excused. We have a quorum. Senator Kagan, would you come and please lead us in the pledge?
Members, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal, Senator Coram.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the Journal of February 8th be dispensed with and approved as corrected by the Secretary, and the wheat farmers have concurred.
You have heard the motion. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Reports to the Committee of Reference.
February 8th, 2017, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 97 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. A recommendation that be placed on the consent calendar. February 8th, 2017, Committee on Judiciary. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 154 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. A recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 8th, 2017, Committee on Health and Human Services. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 74 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with a favorable recommendation. February 8th, 2017, Committee on Health and Human Services. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 110 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. February 8th, 2017, Committee on Health and Human Services. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 108 be amended as follows, and as so amended be referred to Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. A recommendation be placed on the consent calendar.
Senate Services.
Correctly printed. Senate Bill 177 and 178 correctly enrolled. Senate Joint Resolution 1011.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege by Senator Moreno.
The motion is for the Senate to proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege. Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, members, Father Brian this morning, who gave the opening prayer, was my guest. He is a father at Assumption Catholic Church in my district. Just want to thank him for making the trip down and blessing us this morning. And also want to introduce another special guest, a good friend of mine and parishioner at Assumption Catholic Church, Adams County Commissioner Steve Votoricio. Please help me welcome him to the chamber. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the titles to all the bills on the consent calendar?
Senate Bill 76 by Senator Priola concerning authority to spend money in the Public School Performance Fund. Senate Bill 41 by Senators Priola and Representative Hooten and Willie concerning employment contracts for positions at institutions of higher education that are funded by revenue generated from auxiliary activities. Senate Bill 50 by Senator Cook and Representative Becker K.C. concerning consolidation of grant programs relating to forest management.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move all three bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar consisting of Senate Bill 76, 41 and its associated committee report, and Senate Bill 50 with its associated committee report.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? The motion is for the adoption of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar. Are there any no votes on any of the bills on the consent calendar? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 76 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Majority Leader Holbert, Senator Crowder, Senator Merrifield, Senator Kerr, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Moreno, Senator Todd. Co-sponsors: Senator Williams, please add the president. With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 41 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Majority Leader Holbert, Senator Crowder, please add the president. With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 50 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Jones, Majority Leader Holbert, Senator Donovan, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Scott, Senator Priola, Senator Merrifield, Senator Guzman, Senator Fenberg, Senator Kafalis, Senator Kerr, Senator Garcia, please add the president. Third reading of bills. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we lay over the third reading of bills calendar until Friday, February 9th, consisting of Senate Bill 65, 59, 7, and 56.
February 10th. The motion is to lay over the third reading of bills calendar to Friday, February 10th. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the calendar will be laid over till Friday, February 10th. Reports to the committee of reference.
February 8th, 2017, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 89 be postponed indefinitely. February 8th, 2017, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 45 be amended as follows and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation.
We're going to do the general order, second reading, consent calendar.
the general order second reading consent not pulling up?
What?
The general order second reading consent calendar? There's no bills added. Although I thought there was earlier. Should I just add these two real quick then?
Leave them over here for now, in case they become part of this special orders consent. So if they are not included in it, just click it here or remove it from here. And do any reordering you need to do right here using the
Yeah, if we're doing the list that we think we are, it's these two and then all of those. If not, if not, disregard that and I'll come back and flip it in the list.
You guys put it in order.
I'll take them.
Majority Leader Holbrook.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we're going to take up a special orders calendar. If you have your calendar with you, I'll walk you through what I'm going to ask you to approve. At the bottom of page 1, general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar today consisting of Senate Bill 66 and 115. And then if you look for, on the bottom of page 2, Friday, February 10th, the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar consisting of House Bill 1058, Senate Bill 33, 127, 124, 77, 159, 160, 166, 168, 170, 172, and 174. Most of those are supplemental bills that are on consent calendar for tomorrow. We do have a couple before that I'll point out we have bipartisan sponsorship between the two chambers. Talked with the minority leader, and I think that we've got consensus on those. So, Mr. President, I move that the Senate proceed out of order for consideration of general orders, special orders, second reading of bills consent calendar consisting of Senate Bill 66, 115, House Bill 1058, Senate Bill 33, 127, 124, 77, 159, 160, 166, 168, 170, 172, and 174 at the hour of 9:18 a.m. today.
Motion before the body is to take up special orders at the time of 9:18 a.m. for the calendar consisting of Senate Bill 66, 115, House Bill 1058, Senate Bills 33, 127, 124, 77, 159, 160, 166, 168, 170, 172, and 174. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will take up special orders. Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
Motion before the body is to resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Baumgardner will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the the title to all the bills on the special orders, second reading of bills consent calendar.
Senate Bill 66 by Senators Cook and Fields and Representative Sane and Lesbach, concerning clarifying retroactively the authority of municipality to employ police force without going through sunrise review. Senate Bill 115 by Senator Cook and Representative Willett and Foote, concerning an expansion of the exception to the crime of possession of a sexually exploitative material for persons involved in sexually exploitative material cases. House Bill 1058 by Representative Thurlow and Senators Kirk, concerning the scheduled repeal of reports by the Department of Personnel of the General Assembly. Senate Bill 33 by Senator Aguilar and Representative Lawrence, concerning the authority of a professional nurse to delegate dispensing authority for over-the-counter medications. Senate Bill 127 by Senator Tate and Representative Pabon, concerning an expansion of the exemption from the requirements that apply to the mortgage loan originator to include up to 3 loans per year without compensation between family members. Senate Bill 124 by Senators Moreno, Martinez-Humanic, and Representatives Norberg and Hooten, concerning a correction to the Colorado Uniform Trust Decanting Act. Senate Bill 77 by Senators John and Representative Willett and Crafthorpe, concerning the eligibility of certain government agencies to apply for special event permit to sell alcohol beverages. Senate Bill 159 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner, concerning a supplemental appropriation of the Department of Corrections. Senate Bill 160 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner, concerning a supplemental appropriation of the Department of Education. Senate Bill 166 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner, concerning a supplemental appropriation of the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Senate Bill 168 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner, concerning a supplemental appropriation of the Department of Public Safety. Senate Bill 170 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner, concerning a supplemental appropriation of the Department of State. Senate Bill 172 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner, concerning funding for capital construction and making supplemental appropriations in connection therewith. Senate Bill 174 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner, concerning the allocation of money by the Colorado Commission on Higher Education for tuition assistance for members of the National Guard.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move all of the bills on the special order second reading of bills consent calendar, consisting of Senate Bill 66, 155, House Bill 1058, Senate Bill 33 and its associated committee report, Senate Bill 127, 124, Senate Bill 77 and its associated committee report, Senate Bill 159, Senate Bill 160, Senate Bill 166, 168, 170, 172, and 174. Excuse me. Which one was that? Oh. Mr. Chair.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify, the second bill on that list is Senate Bill 115. So starting with Senate Bill 66, Senate Bill 115, House Bill 1058, Senate Bill 33, and its associated committee report, Senate Bill 127, 124, 77, and its associated committee report, 159, 160, 166, 168, 170, 172, and 174.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills? Is there any discussion on any of the committee reports? Seeing none, the motion is for the adoption of the committee reports. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. The ayes have it. Committee reports adopted. Mr. Majority Leader. Nope. Keep going. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the motion to adopt the bills listed. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Do I need to go through the bills? Okay. Yeah. Bills are passed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion of the body is to rise and report. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The committee will rise and report.
Senate will come back to order. Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report decided on consideration of the following attached bills being the second reading thereof. The makes the following recommendations are: 1. Senate Bill 66, Senate Bill 155, Senate Bill 33 as amended, Senate Bill 127, Senate Bill 124, Senate Bill 77 as amended, Senate Bill 159, Senate Bill 160, Senate Bill 166, Senate Bill 168, Senate Bill 170, Senate Bill 172, Senate Bill 174 passed in second reading in order and gross placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1058 passed in second reading in order, revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Motion for the body is the adoption of the report to the committee of the whole. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 66, Senate Bill 115, Senate Bill 33 as amended, Senate Bill 127, Senate Bill 124, Senate Bill 77 as amended, Senate Bill 159, Senate Bill 160, Senate Bill 166, Senate Bill 168, Senate Bill 170, Senate Bill 172, Senate Bill 174, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1058 passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate proceed out of order for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills consisting of the following bills listed on page 3 of your calendar. That would be Senate Bill 161, 162, 163, 164, 165, 167, 169, 171, 173, 175, and 176. At the hour of 9:26 a.m. today.
Motion before the body is to proceed out of order for special orders, second reading of bills calendar. For the bills consisting of Senate Bills 161, 162, 163, 164, 165, 167, 169, 171, 173, 175, and 176. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. And the Senate will proceed out of order for the purpose of consideration of special orders, second reading of bills. Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself to committee of the whole for the consideration of special orders, second reading of bills.
Motion before the body is to resolve itself in the committee of the whole for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills calendar. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself into the committee of the whole for the consideration of special orders, second reading of bills calendar, and Senator Baumgartner will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 161?
Senate Bill 161 by Senator Lambert and Representative Henry concerning a supplemental appropriation of the offices of Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and State Planning and Budgeting.
Senator Lambert.
Mr. Chair, I move Senate Bill 161. Ask for an aye vote.
I did. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is for the adoption of Senate Bill 161. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Senate Bill 161 is adopted. Please read the title to Senate Bill 162.
Senate Bill 162 by Senator Lambert and Representative Henry concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Senate Bill 162.
Is there any discussion? There is an amendment on the desk. Oh, okay. Mr. Please read the title of Senate Bill 162.
No, please read the amendment.
Please read the amendment.
Amendment 001 to Senate Bill 162 by Senator Aguilar, amend printed bill, page 22, line 8, in the item and subtotal column, strike 69,681.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I move Senate Amendment 001 to Senate Bill 162.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this amendment strikes the $4.7 million cash funds from the Intellectual and Developmental Disability Services Cash Fund, directed to go one time to the Office of Community Living. Members, the reason I am asking to pull this out of this is that I believe this is a significant decision that needs not only a policy discussion, but more importantly, a reckoning of what is it we're hoping to accomplish with this money and how can we ensure that the money is used appropriately. Interestingly, this request for $4.7 million was not a request made by the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing. In fact, the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing opposed this request. This request came through the JBC staff person, and it was regarding a concern about a shortage, we were told, in providers for the supported living services waiver. But what's important to know is that the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing says that since April of 2014, our community center boards have received over $13 million in funding to build capacity. And so, in addition, as you may remember, last year we passed Senate Bill 1638 because a lot of questions had been raised about whether the community center boards were using their funds responsibly. And in fact, our auditor will start their audit of community center boards for the first time this year in August. And so I don't deny that perhaps some community center boards do need more funds for SLS, but rather than just blanketly give everyone $1,000 for every person they have on SLS, I think what we need to do is to create this as a bill and ensure that there is a process where the CCB can bring their concerns and issues to the department and be given authority to have the amount of money that that CCB specifically needs. I'm sure many of you, like me, received many letters last night from people representing the community center boards or the program approved services agencies. And in many of these, they delineate how much money they themselves are missing. None of these add up to a multiple of 1,000. And so I think if we are going to give money to help cover this need, then we need a process where we are holding accountable the community center boards for what they need the money for, making sure we agree that this is the best way to invest this money, and that we can tell our taxpayers we did not just throw more money at a problem, given that we've given them almost $15 million since 2014 to deal with this problem. But we can say, this is how this $4.7 million is going to be used. We are being responsible stewards of your money. So I would ask that you approve Amendment L001, which pulls this money out of the supplemental. I want to make clear that I'm not saying that the CCBs and the PASAs may not need more money. I'm just saying that I want us to be more thoughtful about exactly who gets the money, how, and why, particularly in light of concerns that have been raised about the overhead of our community center boards and their ability to meet the needs of our developmentally disabled populations. And I'd ask for your support for Amendment 1.
Is there discussion on J001? Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I certainly appreciate my good colleague from Denver and her advocacy on this issue. But colleagues, I am going to ask for a no vote. This was a recommendation from our JBC staff. And although we have made substantial progress on eliminating the waiting list for the supportive living services waiver, people are still waiting for services because there are just not the providers in the market, and not the providers, even though the ones that are providing services are losing money on this initiative. Our JBC staff did prepare she spoke to many of the providers that provide these services and asked them what their costs look like. And let me just throw a couple out for you. The Mosaic of Colorado Springs loses 40 cents for every dollar they're reimbursed for supportive living services. Mountain Valley Development Services lost $215,000 providing supporting living services. Mosaic, for every dollar of revenue, the agency loses $1.63 in providing these services. Mosaic Denver, for every dollar in revenue, the agency spends $1.64. Fort Collins, Mosaic Fort Collins, for every dollar in revenue, the agency spends $1.72. And Mosaic Western Colorado, for every dollar in revenue, the agency spends $1.37. This is extremely important, colleagues, that we provide this one-time incentive to these providers so that they can continue to provide the services in the community. And I ask for a no vote on the amendment.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I respectfully disagree with my honorable JBC member. And if you listen to the numbers, well, first of all, I've never seen that memo he's referring to. And so here we are making a decision to give a bulk of money to our community center boards without us having the information we need to know if that money is justified. And this was not a unanimous vote out of the JBC. In fact, Representative Young, who many of you know has been deeply involved in following the community center boards through the years, also voted no on this part of this bill, but he was overruled. But if you listen to what Representative Moreno said, and like I said, I've never seen that document, so I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we're talking about agencies losing anywhere from 10 cents on a dollar to 72 cents on a dollar. So my question is, if they're doing the same thing, why are some losing 10 cents and why are some using 72 cents? And why would we just blanketly throw money at all of them without having a better understanding of where this comes from, when we could just pull this back? Again, I'm not saying they may not need the money, but as a longtime member of the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services, I'd like accountability for this money. And I'd like to be able to say to my taxpayers in Denver who give a mill levy and who also, pay a lot of our state money goes to the city and county of Denver, that I know this money was needed and that this was the most responsible way in which to use more funds to serve our people with developmental disabilities. And so I would ask, again, not that we don't save this money as a placeholder and potentially use it again, but that we get more information about the basis for this decision, about what the specific impact is to each of the PASAs or community center boards, and that we have accountability for where the last $14.7 million went, and how this money will be used any differently from that to truly resolve the problem. So again, I'm not saying they won't need the money. I'm just saying let's do this with more transparency and accountability to the taxpayers of Denver and taxpayers of Colorado.
Senator Koufalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, colleagues. I rise in support of J001, and this is a difficult one for me because, generally speaking, I'm supportive of the community-based organizations, the PASAs, and the CCBs that provide services to persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities. But I think as stewards of the taxpayer dollars, the request here is not to eliminate the $4.7 million, as I understand it. The request is that we provide greater scrutiny and accountability for the taxpayer dollars that are being provided to these agencies, because I know there have been some concerns over the years. Some of the CCBs For example, the salaries of some of their CEOs are quite high, and we just want to make sure that the taxpayer dollars are used properly. And the other point I wish to make is that, like any of the resources that we have, which are very limited, financial resources and otherwise, I think it's important that we look at how do we target those resources most effectively. So if there are particular community-based groups that have greater need because of different variations on waiting lists, then I think we should be targeting those organizations or those CCBs to be able to help address those needs rather than spreading the money out just blanketly across the state. Thank you.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to respond. I am standing up here saying vote no on the amendment, and I heard a statement from this podium that said it's not really reducing $4.7 million from the Intellectual and Developmental Disability Services Cash Fund. Well, read the description of the amendment on the amendment itself. It says purpose: reduces from the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing $4.7 million cash funds from the Intellectual and Developmental Disability Services Cash Fund. It does take $4.7 million away from these providers who are actually operating below cost at this point. And from the judgment of the Joint Budget Committee, we saw a need that needs to be addressed. Now, not put it off till some other time. Let's wait until they go out of business. That'll solve the problem, right? No, we see this as being an appropriate measure, but not with this amendment. Please vote no on the amendment.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, members. I do want to apologize. I did not mean to say this didn't take away the 4.7 million. What I said was that I was comfortable with us saving this 4.7 and having it come back with a separate bill that details how this money will actually be allocated and provides more accountability for the variation in costs that we were quoted today. And as Senator Kafales alluded to, allows the money to be distributed according to need and not just in a blanket fashion. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on L001? Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would ask for a no vote on L001. I think there might be some confusion about where this money goes. This does go to 380 different providers around the state that offer supported living services for individuals with developmental and intellectual disabilities. There have been statements made that we shouldn't be funding CCBs or we should wait, that we need more substantive legislation for this. This clearly does not need additional legislation. It is within our ability to appropriate money without other additional legislation in this area. But out of those 380 providers, only 20 of them are community-centered boards. There are a lot of other providers around the state that provide these services. It just happens that 20 of the community-centered boards do also provide these services and should get some of the distribution of these funds. We have talked about providing services. If you recall the years of debate, years of advocacy that we've had about the wait lists for services for people in our state with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I think for many years we had a rather scarlet stain on our reputation of Colorado, that we were not taking care of people that really need help and only look to the state to provide that help for low-income people especially. Fortunately, we've already made a big dent in those wait lists. We have provided funding for that. But we have consistently heard from many of the providers that even as they look for providers under contract, people are not taking those contracts simply because of the low salaries, especially near minimum wage salaries, that they just simply cannot afford to do those jobs. The minimum wage laws that are now being put into effect, we keep hearing back from many, many providers that when the minimum wages are increased, they still will not be able to pay as many people. In many of the supportive industries, like basic homemaker skills, we simply they cannot afford to pay or increase their salaries or their personnel to do that. This is a statewide problem. We recognize this. We've heard from many, many providers and organizations that say help is necessary now. Some say that for 6 months they've not been able to hire anybody at current salary rates. So I think it's very important to take action now to stop the hemorrhaging, to stop the problems that we're having right now. We will be taking a look at these things again in next year's budget, but we think this is important enough right now to look at this as a supplemental to this year's budget as well. I would ask for a no vote on Amendment L001, and I'd ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 162.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the comments of the honorable senator from El Paso County from Colorado Springs, and I agree with a lot of what you have said, sir. Regardless of the outcome of the vote on this amendment, I'd like to communicate a message to those who are listening outside of the chambers that prove us wrong. Those of us who have concerns about how the dollars are being spent, I encourage you to prove us wrong and show that the $4.7 million, how exactly it will be spent, and then it will be targeting the greatest need to address issues with the waiting list and supportive living services, and that we can be accountable to the taxpayers who provide these resources. So that is my message to the folks in the lobby and listening elsewhere. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Amendment L001? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. No. The noes have it. L001 is lost. The discussion on, any further discussion on Senate Bill 162? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 162. All in favor say aye. Aye. All no. 162 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 163.
Senate Bill 163 by Senator Lambert, Representative Hamner, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Human Services.
Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 163, and I move the Associated Appropriations Committee report.
Is there any discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, all in favor of the Appropriations Committee report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Committee report is adopted. Senator Lambert.
Thank you. Again, I move Senate Bill 163 and ask for an aye vote.
Any further discussion on Senate Bill 163? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 163. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Senate Bill 163 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 164.
Senate Bill 164 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Judicial Department.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Senate Bill 164 and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion on Senate Bill 164? Seeing none. The question before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 164. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 164 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title, Senate Bill 165.
Senate Bill 165 by Senator Lambert, Representative Hammer, considering a supplemental appropriation.
Senator Lundberg. Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 165 and ask for a favorable recommendation.
Is there any Senator Lambert, Senator Lundberg, did you have discussion on that, or did you move it? Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've had plenty of discussion many times on Senate Bill 165 concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Law. Right here and right now, I think we're ready to vote.
Okay, any further discussion on Senate Bill 165? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. 165 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 167.
Senate Bill 167 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner concerning a supplemental appropriation to the
Moreno.
Department of Personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Senate Bill 167 and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion on Senate Bill 167? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 167. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. 167 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 169.
Senate Bill 169 by Senator Lambert and
Lambert.
Representative Hamner concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Revenue.
Okay, Senator Lambert.
Thank you. I move Senate Bill 169, ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion on Senate Bill 169? Senator Lambert.
Thank you. And members, this is not uncommon when we're moving a whole bunch of bills for JBC. We kind of share the responsibility. We do this in appropriations and other places. So I renew my motion for favorable vote for Senate Bill 169.
Any further discussion on Senate Bill 169? Seeing none. All in favor of Senate Bill 169, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. 169 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 171.
Senate Bill 171 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Transportation.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I move Senate Bill 171 and ask for a favorable vote.
Is there any discussion on Senate Bill 171? Seeing none. The question before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 171. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Senate Bill 171 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 173.
Senate Bill 173 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hammer concerning adjustments to the amount of total program funding for public schools for the 2016-2017 budget year and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Senate Bill 173 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion on Senate Bill 173? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 173. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. 173 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 175?
Senate Bill 175 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner concerning the transfer of money between state self-insurance funds at the request of the Executive Director of the Department of Personnel.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 175 and ask for a favorable adoption to this wonderful bill.
The motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 175. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. 175 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 176?
Senate Bill 176 by Senator Moreno and Representative Rankin concerning authorization to use money in the Colorado State Titling and Registration account to issue devices that confirm that a person is registered a motor vehicle.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Senate Bill 176 and the Appropriations Committee report.
Is there any discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Appropriations Committee report is adopted. Senator Lambert.
Thank you. I'd ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 176, but members, you probably already talked about this in your caucus, but the last three bills that we moved here are actually, and actually the one under 174 that we moved on consent are actual changes to statute that we have to pass in order to do the appropriations clause. The 174 on consent was tuition for the National Guard. We had to do a true up on the school funding. That was 173. 175 was actually, I don't think there's any cost in it, but it will allow some of our risk pools in DPA that handle different types of insurance to share money across those risk pools. It's easier to manage. And Senator Moreno's bill here, 176, has to do with funding for more license plates because the inventories are too low. So it actually makes an appropriation from Department of Revenue over to CCI and Department of Corrections. So those are not just departmental supplementals, they're actual bill language, but I'd ask for an aye vote on this one, and thank you for your aye vote on the others. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 176? Seeing none, all in favor of Senate Bill 176 signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 176 is adopted. Mr. Majority Leader
Thank you, Mr.
Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the body is to rise and report. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report has had under consideration the following attached bills being the second reading thereof and makes the following recommendations. Number 1, Senate Bill 161, Senate Bill 162, Senate Bill 163 as amended, Senate Bill 164, Senate Bill 165, Senate Bill 167, Senate Bill 169, Senate Bill 171, Senate Bill 173, Senate Bill 175, Senate Bill 176 as amended, passed on second reading and ordered to placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Motion before us is the adoption of the report to the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? Seeing none. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Senate Bill 161, Senate Bill 162, Senate Bill 163 is amended, Senate Bill 164, Senate Bill 165, Senate Bill 167, Senate Bill 169, Senate Bill 171, Senate Bill 173, Senate Bill 175, Senate Bill 176 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we lay over the balance of the calendar till Friday, February 9th.
The motion before the body is to lay over the balance of the calendar until Friday, February 10th. 10th. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The aye and a half have it. The balance will be laid over. Committee reports.
February 8th, 2017, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 27 be amended as follows, and as amended be referred to the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation. February 8th, 2017, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 64 be postponed indefinitely. February 8th, 2017, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 122 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Recommendation be placed on the consent calendar.
Announcements. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I am announcing that I will be gone tomorrow and Monday and Tuesday, and I've spoken to the minority and majority leaders.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Those in finance, we will begin at 10:15.
Any further announcements? Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, you have on your desk a lovely flyer in red. Please join myself and other folks from Western State Colorado University tomorrow morning over by the old Supreme Court chambers for the classic coffee reception. This is a great school, an incredible asset to my district, and I hope you can come say hello.
Any further announcements? Majority Leader Holbrook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adjourn until 9 a.m. Friday, February 10th.
The motion is to adjourn until 9 a.m. Friday, February 10th. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will be adjourned until 9 a.m. February 10th.